Greetings everybody, my name is Tommy the Game Master and welcome to my channel. Well, this morning I sat down and I watched all 8 episodes of Season 2 of the Castlevania Netflix series. Now, when it released last year, it was one of the best adaptations of a video game I've ever seen. It was taken seriously and the way it was set up was pretty good. Castlevania 3, when it comes to the classic game, is kind of the center point of the lore, but at the same time the NES game didn't have much dialogue or flesh anything out. So you had a wide open space to flesh things out, and it did it perfectly. It cast what Alucard would be before he was Symphony of the Night came about. It did a good job of basically telling Belmont's lineage and just some of the problems he was having at the time, because Trevor's supposed to be an outcast. It did a good job of showing that. It also had a good time of showing Dracula and his wife. You know, the first episode of that season really gave Dracula some character, something that the original series never did. And the Lords of Shadow trilogy tried and completely jumped the shark and screwed the pooch. So it was nice to see that. So I was eagerly waiting for Season 2. It was released just in time for Halloween, and I'm here to tell you it was a complete disappointment. Or I should say it was 6 out of 8% a disappointment, however that kind of goes, because the first 6 episodes kind of drag a bit. There's some good things about it. The series does bring in Leon Belmont, what happened to him after the Lament of Innocence and what the Belmonts were doing for 400 years, which is something the games didn't kind of touch on, because Trevor Belmont was supposed to be the first Belmont to be in charge of slaying Dracula, while Leon Belmont was the one that kind of got the whip and the whole wrath of his family being geared towards Dracula happened with him. But there was a 400-year wait. What were the Belmonts doing? That's a little bit fleshed out. It also fleshes out Hector and Isaac and their role in this. And I like that they were kind of introduced into the series and talked about, because they kind of appear in Curse of Darkness saying they were a big deal in Castlevania 3 when they were never mentioned. So having them have a role here and fleshing their characters out a bit was a good idea. Also, fleshing out Dracula character a bit, just how insane he is, and doing it in a human way was also a good thing. So why am I saying 6 out of 8 of it sucks? Well, what we wanted to see, I think, at least for me, was to see these 3 come together as a group, flesh out these characters, have them on their adventures as they try to find the Count's castle and destroy it. You know, having Hector and Isaac and giving them a part and fleshing out Dracula is good, but we wanted a lot of time spent on them. What happens with the 3 main characters is, at the first episode of Season 2, Trevor goes, we need to find my old family's tomb. It has a whole bunch of stuff that we could use to stop Dracula. They immediately get to it next episode with only one small little skirmish. Get into the tomb, and then for pretty much the rest of the season, that's where they're at. They're inside this library reading up on stuff. Whenever it cuts to them, it's basically so Alucard could get frustrated, make some sort of joke about how Trevor isn't basically able to carry on the Belmont line. He's not worthy. Trevor reminds him that his lineage is of that of Dracula. Sypha breaking the 2 up and then asking why they did it. Repeat 4 or 5 times, once each episode, and it gets boring. And that's all the main characters do throughout most of the season. The rest of the time, when it's not Hector and Isaac, it's vampire freaking politics, and it's all filler vampire freaking politics. I did not sign up for vampire freaking politics. This is Star Wars prequel level of boredom I'm experiencing with this. And it got old after a while. Some of the characters could be cut out completely. There's this one kind of like Viking vampire that causes all the trouble. He's basically one of those lame brain guys who just wants to get drunk and screw things. Basically, he's a one-note character. He's supposed to be comic relief. He fails his job miserably. Was glad to see the character cut out, or killed off, but I would have rather had him cut off and that time spent elsewhere, mainly towards the main trio. So the first 6 episodes, that's what you kind of get more of. Not the 3 main characters from the game, and very little of Hector and Isaac. They're there and they're important, but not as much as vampire politics. It isn't until episode 7 where we finally see them leave that freaking library and head into the castle. And oh my god, is that part glorious. Makes up for the first 6 episodes being boring. Just this 10-minute fight scene of Trevor, Sypha, and Alucard going after Dracula's minions. And it starts off with a really great remix of Bloody Tears from the video game. Best scene in the whole freaking season. I really cheered. I could see myself watching that scene quite a few times. I mean, excellent use of the Bloody Tears theme, just excellent animation. It's a great fight scene. And then the final fight scene between Alucard and the Count, because that's mainly who it is. Yeah, video game wise, I wouldn't mind seeing more Trevor in it, but Alucard's got the emotional stakes and it does it really well. With eventually, the fight going on to Alucard's childhood nursery, and the Count finally realizing just how crazy he is, and this gives the Alucard the opportunity to stake the Count, while Trevor and Sypha come in and kind of finish him off for good. And then the last episode's kind of an epilogue, maybe setting things up for next season if they want to explore the Hector and Isaac relationship. There's another character, Carmilla. She's another famous vampire, oftentimes thrown in with Dracula, usually always someone who's trying to undermine him. They put in a Carmilla character here. Again, she's more vampire politics, a little bit better than that Viking guy, but she's kind of set up if they want a season 3 to continue along with Trevor's story. He could fight her. Hector and Isaac could get together, start their little war over how to revive the Count. So that could be part of season 3. Quite frankly, Carmilla's another character I wouldn't mind cutting off, because I think the whole series would have been better if season 2 was just 4 episodes long. Deal with basically Trevor and his crowd, deal with the Count and maybe Hector and Isaac. But the vampire politics needed not been there. It's a boring drag on the series. No character development is spent on the main trio, which really is the disappointment for me when it comes to the series. Again, epic conclusion. Episode 7 of this is one of the best episodes in any video game related animated series ever. I loved the fight scene. I loved the fight with the Count, but everything getting to it sucked. I mean, it just is a bore. I mean, it's worse than trying to figure out the Lords of Shadow storyline and the convoluted mess that is. That's how boring it is. I said episode 7 and episode 8 almost make up for it, but almost. So I'm just warning you, if you're watching this, be prepared to be a little bit bored during some of the slow times, because once they hit that library, it really is downhill for 4 or 5 episodes, unfortunately. Anyways, this is Tommy the Game Master, thanking you for listening. I'll see you guys later.